thrift shopping, one of my favorite sections to look through is always the matching set section. I don't know why, but for some reason, this is the section where I usually find some of my favorite items, and that's what I did recently. And I found this. It's a matching set. Alright, I'm gonna try it on. So the top of this set is oversized, and I'm not gonna change anything about this top. Here is how the skirt is currently fitting. As you can see, it is really big. And now let's get into the upcycling part of this outfit. I love this outfit, however, the fit of the skirt is not good. It's way too big for me, so I want to take it in. When I was filming this part of the video, I kept bumping into this plant behind me, and now this plant is dead. Also, I want to take it from a skirt to a skirt and use a little bit of the fabric from making the skirt to turn it into a little bit of a longer skirt. I'm not foreseeing this to go without any issues. That's why I have my mom, who I frequently call when I'm sewing, and she gives me advice. So expect a few calls to mom. I have taken apart the seams along the shorts and this front as well. Now what I can do is sew this part into a skirt. I finished placing the pins in the skirt. I pinned the right sides together, so I'm sewing it together inside out. Then I can do the same to the back here. And also I'll fit it to myself and then sew it in and cut off the extra fabric. Now that I have all the pins placed, I'm making sure that the fit is good, and then I'll head to the sewing machine and sew it up. I have all these scraps of fabric now, and I want to cut them and then use them to create a new waistband for the top of the skirt, so I can make it just a little bit more high-rise, but also saving the length of the skirt. I proceeded to cut up the extra scraps of fabric into pieces that were about 3 inches wide. Then I sewed these pieces together so they were long enough to create a new waistband for the top of the skirt. Then I cut an extra piece of fabric to fill the waistband so it would stand up and not be so flimsy. I sewed off the ends of the waistband and flipped it right side out. Now it's ready to be attached to the skirt. Once I finished pinning the new waistband to the top of the skirt, I went back to the sewing machine to sew it on. I knew that this would be a big task for my sewing machine because I was trying to sew through so many layers of fabric. Unfortunately, this many layers of fabric was too much for my sewing machine to handle. My thread kept breaking every few stitches, and I was constantly rethreading the needle. Here's the exact moment when I realized I was going to have to hand sew the new waistband to the top of the skirt. Hand sewing is hard. It's time-consuming and it's difficult to get neat stitches. I wasn't looking forward to it, but it was the only way I was going to be able to get this done. I am about halfway done with the hand stitching of this hem, and It's been going slowly, but luckily I have a thread color that is almost the exact same color as this fabric. So you can't see the stitching. You can see it a little bit right there. But that means I don't have to be too careful about being super neat. I'll finish up the second half of the top and then reinforce this button here that's just getting a little bit loose and worn. And then it will be all done. The sewing is complete, and now it's time for the final reveal. And here it is. Here is the final outfit. I think it is so cute. I love the way that this waist detail turned out. I think this is such a great outfit for summer. You'll see me wearing this everywhere. Just kidding, I don't have places to go. I think this is such a cute set together, but also would look really good on their own, styled differently. Here's a look at the back of the skirt and then the front. I don't think you ever would have been able to tell that this used to be a skirt and that this outfit was thrifted. Overall, I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I think that it went really smoothly. It fits well, it looks good. I think it's perfect for the summer. Even though there are things about it that aren't perfect and that I wish I could have done a little bit better, no one has an outfit like this. It's completely unique, and I love that about upcycling clothing. I love that now I have this item that's one of one. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment if you learned something or if you would have done something differently. Let me know what you would have done with this outfit. And be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!